Hi, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. Welcome. We'll be starting our online trade show in just a moment, so please stand by. Thanks for joining us. All right. It looks like it's 11 o'clock here in Seattle. We want to welcome you all. If you're here for the 6th in our series of live Flow Waterjet online trade shows, you are in the right place. We really appreciate your taking the time as the year starts to wind down here and everybody's very busy. We appreciate your taking the time to join us, and we have a great presentation for you today. A few housekeeping items we'd like to go over with you while we get ready to start. First of all, we are very happy to be live and expect to be here for about 50 minutes or so, just under an hour. About 30 or 35 minutes of that is going to be for our presentation, and we're going to save about another 15 or 20 at the end for Q&A. We will be recording the entire session, so if you have to leave or would like a replay to share with colleagues or just review afterward, the recording of this webinar will be sent to you afterwards via a link, and it will also be available on our website to download at any time at no cost. So, secondly, there are quite a few folks in the audience today. Although we have muted the audience microphones and audience cameras, we cannot see or hear you. You can see and hear us, and we will be taking questions throughout the webinar. So the way to do that is, if you have a question, use the chat box, which should be on the top right of your screen. Type in your question, and we will do our best to answer as many of them as we can at the end of the presentation. And finally, by way of following up, if you would like to continue a dialogue with somebody from the team that's presenting today, or if you have an inquiry about a system or need a quote or more details about our maintenance programs, please enter your name and number or your email in the chat box as well, and we'll be happy to put somebody in touch with you in the next 24 hours. And a final note, the videos that we're running are fully optimized, and our platform here is very robust. So if you have any trouble or technical glitches, the likelihood is that it's a capacity issue with your local carrier, but we've had pretty good success with all of our online trade shows as it relates to running the video. So if you do get a freeze or any other technical problems, we recommend you just log out, log back in again. The preferred browser is Google Chrome, but otherwise it should go pretty smoothly. So other than that, we're ready to go. I'll simply say that we're here to talk about how to get the very best performance out of your Waterjet, and whether you own one or are shopping for one, keeping it running and keeping it performing at its very best is obviously fundamental to running your business, and most importantly, keeping your customers happy. So we, by popular demand, have put together a presentation that is dedicated specifically to that topic. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our presenters today. They are Ryan Grams and Blake Wortley, and frankly, we could not have picked a better team of presenters to cover this really super important topic. They're both deeply steeped in the maintenance and parts and services side of our industry, and they're going to give you so much information that you will be just overjoyed to know how much is at your disposal through our team here. So Ryan, Blake, I'm going to hand it over to you guys. Please don't forget to, there you go, look at them obediently turning on their microphones and their cameras. I'm going to hand it over to you. Take it away. And again, everyone, thanks for attending.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Steve. Appreciate that introduction. So, yeah, as you saw, I'm Ryan Grams, been at Flow for about 8 years, worked in multiple departments. Here with my co-conspirator, Blake. Blake, you want to say hi to the people out there in TV land?
Yeah, hey everyone, thank you. I'm really excited to be part of the online trade show series, although I have to admit I'd much rather be in Southern California or Florida right now at a live trade show, but here's where we are, so appreciate it and looking forward to speaking to everyone.
All right, great. Thanks, Blake. So let's go ahead and get right into this. So as we saw on that first slide at the very bottom of it is what can your Flow Waterjet do for you? The undertone of this conversation, this presentation is going to be more around what can Flow do for your Waterjet and how can we maximize that uptime while gaining some very profitable insights into your business using some technology advancements that we're going to go over, Blake and myself. So throughout the presentation, Blake and I are going to be kind of tag teaming this a little bit. So he'll be doing a couple slides and I'll be inserting myself into certain areas of the presentation. To Steve's point, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box and we'll talk about it at the end. Okay, so again, we're going to be talking about maximizing uptime and what does that mean? So we've coined a preventative maintenance program called Flowcare. So let's go ahead and start getting into some of the nuts and bolts as to the offerings that we're going to be talking about over the next 30 or 35 minutes or so. So obviously simple, right? Everybody likes to talk about making a complex problem with a simple solution, right? How do you do that? And the solution for preventative maintenance we've coined, like I said, is called Flowcare. It's just a commercial term that we use to define and describe our preventative maintenance program from Flow, which we'll go over more in detail. But just understand that for the last 45 plus years, we've understood how the maintenance works. We've understood the difference between break fix and also preventative maintenance, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But another goal here that we're going to be talking about is reducing unscheduled downtime, right? So maximizing uptime while at the same time reducing the unscheduled downtime. Flowcare is a very robust program that Blake's going to go over here in a couple minutes, and it's going to show you exactly how we control your maintenance intervals and how we can commit to being your premier provider of parts and service. So if you look at the bottom left-hand side, we talked about already, there's on-site services or extended warranty and stuff that we're going to go into, but you got to have gas in the gas tank, right? So to have a really good and robust preventative maintenance program, it has to go beyond just service. You have to have the right parts at the right time for the right application. So the Flowcare program not only provides everything I just mentioned, in addition, it also includes that gas in the gas tank, which again, we'll be reviewing here momentarily. We consider ourselves the experts in the industry. We've been around for almost 50 years. We're the biggest water jet manufacturer in the world. We have offices in 36 different countries. We have technicians in multiple states throughout North America, Canada, all over the world as well. So we are take pride in ourselves in the fact that we train our employees well, we train our technicians well, our engineers well, and we've realized that these are the skill sets that can keep your business afloat while maximizing your uptime and the investment in your water jet. So a minute ago, I mentioned difference between a break fix model versus predictive, right, or preventative maintenance model. So back in 2016, Flow did what's called a paradigm shift, or at least what I would consider a paradigm shift in the world of maintenance. We went from being a break fix teacher to being a preventative maintenance. So, me personally, I always like, doing my home renovations and DIY projects and doing things myself. We've realized, to my point earlier, over the last couple decades, especially the last decade, that when you bring in OEM technicians and OEM preventative maintenance programs, it really elongates the life cycle of your product, meaning that your system will last longer, perform how it's spec'd out to be, and make sure it meets your expectations. Just like the day you had it installed, to all the way to 20 years later, it's still doing those same fine cuts and the same performance you could expect out of a Flow system. And we do pride ourselves on being the experts that keep those systems updated and upgraded, which we'll also talk to here in a little bit. Right, so the impact to the bottom and top line of your business is always about cash flow, right? We always talk about what's the most important thing. It's cash, right? Making sure that your maintenance is planned, that your employees aren't idle. Nobody likes employees just kind of walking around trying to figure out what to do when your system's down, right? Downtime costs you money. It really does, right? And so not all businesses have the same downtime cost per hour than others, right? So that's a sensitivity you can actually play with a little bit. But one of the surprise breakdowns can lead to a loss in credibility, not just in the marketplace, but also your local, your hyper-local marketplace as well. Word does carry fast. And so with a preventative maintenance model from Flowcare, that credibility is protected much more using the OEM preventative maintenance plan. We also know that higher costs of repairs occur with emergency breakdowns. This is in the form of, your system's down, you don't have the parts, so what do you got to do? You got to overnight them or you got to try to fabricate them somehow, right? Yes, we always have parts on hand, but we always recommend that you have the parts on hand. And with the preventative maintenance model from Flow, we provide those parts before you even need them, right? Predictive and preventative maintenance modeling is what that's all about. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, decrease asset life. If you let the OEM, you let the experts in the industry industry provide the service and the support for your water jet, it does lift up the value of your system, right? It's just like, throughout this presentation, you're going to hear us talk about a car, right? The car analogy. It's just like a car. It kind of is, right? And so when you maintain your car well over the course of however long you have it, you go to trade it in, you go to sell it, whatever, that value can be increased just like a water jet. And the good thing about Flowcare is that you have all your maintenance records right there at your disposal that you can share with anybody that might be interested, so you can show that you've protected your investment with the premier flagship program of Flowcare. So back to the cash thing, right? We always talk about savings. This does not apply to every single customer, but there are many, many of our customers, and I think right now we have over 1,000 customers that have purchased Flowcare. On average, we somewhere between 400 and 500 at any given time. So it's a very successful program, and it comes in the form of savings, right? By preventing that downtime, letting the experts do the work. And if you do outsource your program to Flow, you can expect that premier service, the premier support, technology upgrades, built-in discounts, right? So you're not just saving on the actual maintenance itself. There are other tangible and intangible benefits that come along with being a Flowcare customer, like those discounts, like those upgrades, right? And we'll get into those here in a little bit. But very, very important to know that there is a money-saving aspect when it comes to using Flow as a preventative maintenance model service and parts provider. So just like I mentioned, we talk about maintaining your car just like your water jet, or your water jet just like your car. One of the analogies we always talk about is your brakes, right, or your tires, or both, right? What happens if you let your tires go too long before replacing them? Well, now you got a safety issue on your hand, right? What happens when you let your brakes go too long? It might destroy your rotors, and just nobody likes that bill from the Jiffy Lube place, right? The good thing about the preventative maintenance program is that the parts are proactively replaced, which gives you peace of mind knowing that that part has a life cycle of hours assigned to it. Flow tracks those hours. We make sure those parts are proactively replaced in our performance center, and we are the ones doing all the rebuilds either on site or at our performance center, which Blake will get to here in a little bit. One thing that's really important, functionality port of a water jet, is we see our friends here in the picture. This is Joe Gibbs Racing, who is a big partner of Flow's. They have, as you can see in the picture, many, many different types of vehicles that they're racing constantly. Their water jet is right there on site. You can't quite see it in this picture, but there's a water jet on site, and what they're able to do is if they crash into a wall or whatever, they're able to use that water jet to fabricate not just metal, because water jets don't just cut through conductive material. They can cut through carbon fiber, glass, hoods, plastic, anything. And so Joe Gibbs does a really good job by using their water jet to get their systems, their cars back up and operational right on site without having to outsource anything. And so that was my first area of the presentation. The big meat and potatoes is what we're looking at now, which is called Flowcare Complete. Blake is the owner of Flowcare Complete for North America. He is a product manager, so I'm going to let him take the next couple slides and show you what Flowcare is and how it can benefit your business. Blake?
Ryan, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, and appreciate it. Thank you for the kind of the big overview of why preventive maintenance is so important. And just like Ryan said, now I'm going to start talking about how Flow partners with you. And our flagship program for that is Flowcare Complete. And so it's pretty important as we start looking through these next few slides to understand that Flow is here to be your service partner, and that we really do care about our customers, and that we care about the uptime that our customers see, and know that the key to that is through preventive maintenance. So what is preventive maintenance? I know Ryan already kind of spoke to this a little bit, but I'm sure everyone has already learned that maintenance isn't just about fixing things when they're breaking. In fact, most cases when that's what you do, you end up in a lot of lost business and a lot of lost opportunity. And so we want to make sure that your machines are up and running at maximum efficiency to make sure that your business is possible, and make sure that there's a reduced impact to any kind of downtime. So now let's start getting to what is Flowcare Complete. So Flowcare Complete is a multiple duration program that offers different types of service and parts to ensure that your machine is running smoothly. And now we're gonna, in the next few slides, break that down and show you exactly how we do that. So here, this slide, I really do want to spend a little bit of time because it's pretty important that everyone has a chance to kind of look through this, as well as talk through how these points keep your machine running and how we partner with you. So the first thing is on the left is we offer up to a 3-year, 3,000-hour program of pump uptime. So what that means is, once you buy a Flowcare program, you have 3 years or 3,000 hours of cutting time before you have to worry about anything else with that program. And so we also offer a few other durations, such as 2 years, 2,000 hours, and 1 year, 1,000 hours, to make sure that we're offering what your business needs. How we accomplish the preventative maintenance is by going on site for visits. So our factory certified technicians, also called FSEs, come on site. They will perform maintenance services. Also, as you can kind of see on the top right hand side, they also do a multi-point service inspection while they're on site. And so the good thing about that is we're not only focused on the pump or the heart of your system, but that technician will look at your complete system and make sure that everything else is where it should be. And if there is anything that they know, they actually will document that and give you a list of recommendations. Moving down to the bottom left, so pump maintenance for your high pressure parts. Like I just said, Flowcare is predominantly focused around the heart of your system, the pump, whether that be an intensifier or a direct drive. But we also know that there's more to a system than that. And so we want to make sure that we're covering your complete system. And so with that, we offer things like a bleed down valve maintenance, on-off maintenance, water filter changes, and an oil change included in that service. We all know that there's a lot of programs out there, and often those will come with surprise costs. So what Flow's done is actually taken shipment for the components that come in Flowcare Complete and added delivery to those, so that way there's no surprise cost. That's already built into the program cost, and so everything when you purchase a Flowcare Complete is taken care of upfront. And the last big component of Flowcare Complete is the proactive scheduling. So everyone knows that unplanned, unexpected downtime, either that's because the machine were to go down and you didn't have parts, or even if it's because you weren't able to plan far enough ahead, is very detrimental. And so what Flowcare does is tracks your utilization via a very, very cool thing called Waterjet Connect that we're going to talk about later. And they will actually ship your components as well as schedule your on-site visit ahead of time to make sure that there's no risk of downtime to your company. So we're going to dive into a little bit more detail. So I don't know, there's probably different viewpoints or familiarizations with the type of water jet, but Flow has two main types of pumps. So we have an intensifier pump, also called a linear pump. And for those type of pumps, Flowcare Complete actually swaps out that entire unit. It's similar to a full just cartridge replacement. And so basically the tech will actually come on site, pull that whole unit off, which is kind of represented on the little diagram to the left, and swap it out for a brand new one. And then there's also a direct drive pump. Direct drive pumps also called a rotary pump, do not have intensifiers, don't have that cartridge style, and so those are actually rebuilt on site by a OEM certified technician. And so now we actually have a couple videos to show what those two different pump styles look like and how they operate, and Ryan's going to help walk us through that.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Blake. So here we have a good transition. We see this is a Hyplex Prime, or otherwise known as a direct drive pump. This comes in a 30 and 50 horsepower. We're going to go through two iterations of this. The first one we're going to observe, the reason we call this rotary is because that sealed crankcase on the right-hand side has a rotary driven mechanism, which by and large then pushes those plungers that you see back and forth. And all this assembly that you're seeing in front of you right now, this is what we call the wet end or the high pressure end. When the tech comes on site, this is what they're going to be rebuilding. Here we have the PCV, the poppet in the seat, which controls the flow of the water, and also the water that's coming. You can see there it comes out of the bottom of that manifold and then out into the cutting head. So this one real quick walk through one more time. Again, we have the rotary on the right-hand side, which drives those three plungers inside the high-pressure cylinders. Very, very high RPM compared to an intensifier, much faster moving parts. So here we see the plunger is pulling in that cold, clean water, and I say that very intentionally, cold, clean water pumps like that type of stuff, right? Apparently, when you pressurize things up to 100,000 psi, I think that kind of stuff starts to really matter, right? And so we actually want to make sure we do call that out, that the direct drive pump and intensifier pumps in water jet environments do operate optimally in a good environment with cold, clean water. And so again, that's the direct drive pump we call the Hyplex Prime. This also comes not just in an integrated, but also a non-integrated. What does that mean? It means you can control its pressure and on-off cycles directly from your roll-around console without actually having to walk up to the pump itself. Okay, and so that's our direct drive Hyplex Prime pump. And here we're looking at a video of what we call the Hyperjet pump. This is a linear-driven pump, and we say that because you're going to see here, once we break into this, there's going to be a plunger in the center. This is a Hyperjet intensifier that operates right around 87,000 psi. Now you have two different types of fluids here, right? We have your hydraulic fluid there in the center, which is all tan, and you have your water being on the other side of the high pressure cylinder. This is the plunger is pulling that cold, clean water in and then pushing it back out of the check valve on the opposite side. The reason we call it the intensifier is because that's exactly what it does. And we'll walk through this one more time, but the hydraulic oil you see in the center is usually at about a 6,000 psi, right? And so the face of that biscuit is about 26 times larger than the face at the end of that plunger, and that gives us that intensification ratio, right? So you would take your 6,000 bar, what we call it, and you would intensify that by how much bigger the surface area is from the face of the biscuit versus the surface area from the face of the plunger. And that's where we come up with the term intensifier. I like using air quotes. Okay, this is a very common pump today. This is the highest pressure pump available in the marketplace today, and we continue to set that standard. We continue to and intend to go higher in pressure with increased reliability at the same time.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate the in-depth detail and helping walk us through that. So flow also isn't just about how the parts that your system needs and the service that your system needs, but we also recognize that many of our customers need flexibility, and they need to be able to access their data. So we've got a couple different routes to do that. So I've already kind of mentioned Waterjet Connect, which again we'll talk to here in just a little bit, but we also have a flow service app. And so with this service app, you can actually schedule service, you can order parts, you can give updates to how your pump's running. So if you're on Flowcare, we actually encourage our customers to use the Flow Service app to log their hours, to log any pictures or videos of their intensifiers or any of their direct drives or any questions they have, and that way our account managers can reach out to them for any to answer those questions. And it's available both through the Apple App Store and Google Play. And the last key to what how Flowcare really helps partner with you is by making sure that we've invested in premium customer service. And so when you become a Flowcare Complete customer, you actually are assigned a dedicated account manager. That way you're able to truly build that relationship, and we're able to build that relationship with you. So when you call in, you're not going to not know who you're talking to. You're going to have the same person that you're talking to every time to help walk through any questions or any happenings that deal with your Flowcare Complete system. And then the other big key with this is that we also offer a 10% discount on any parts or services that are recommended by our technician while they're on site. So that I mentioned earlier about that full system inspection that our FSE does. And so while they're going through your system, if they notice that there's some high pressure tubing or something or a swivel that might need to be replaced, and they'll actually document that on your inspection report. You'll get a copy of that. We'll get a copy of that. And if you order that part that they've listed, you'll actually receive 10% off that. So what does a Flowcare visit look like? So FSE, that's just another word for field service engineer. These are our highly trained, highly skilled technicians that will actually come on site. They're going to swap out your intensifier if that's the type of pump you have. If you have a direct drive, they'll rebuild that by the parts that Flows provides. During your system, you also will receive things like the bleed down valve maintenance, a ball bar circularity service, an oil and filter change service. And so we really, again, want to make sure that your entire system is taken care of and is running optimally. So it's a pretty busy slide, but the big key here is this is kind of an overview of what all comes as far as parts and services with a Flowcare complete package. And so this first one we're looking at is for an intensifier pump. Again, there is a slight difference, the main difference being that intensifier unit is actually completely swapped out. So that's what you're going to see underneath the standard services line on the left. But then I also want to draw your eyes to the right under the UHP part. So these are the components that Ryan kind of mentioned earlier. That are the fuel in your fuel tank. So these are what's going to keep your system going, and these are the components that you're going to need to change out to ensure that you're getting quality cuts throughout the life of your system, and specifically being your mixing tubes and orifices. So Flow knows the value of these particular components, and how having these on hand will ensure that you're getting consistent cuts. And here's the same slide before our direct drive pumps. So again, if you look over on the left, the major difference being here is that they actually do on-site rebuilds. There's no intensifier to swap out. So those components that Ryan highlighted for us earlier in the video are actually replaced by Flow provided parts. So we'll actually ship those parts to you, and then our certified technician will come on site and rebuild those for you directly in your facility. So I know we've been talking a lot about Flowcare Complete, and that is our premier program offering, and it is the one that we have put together to cover your complete system. But we do realize that some customers maybe don't need a Flowcare Complete system. So we do have other preventive maintenance programs out there, such as Flowcare Plus and Intensifier Exchange. So those just offer different levels of service and or parts. And so again, these are just different ways that Flow has made sure that we recognize the differences in our customer base and know that we're partnering with you to ensure that no matter where you're at or what kind of business you run, we're here to provide what your system needs. So an extended warranty. Everyone has options to buy extended warranties, from cars to electronics. Sometimes people talk about how good they are, sometimes not. Flow knows that for a machine cutting tool, extended warranty is extremely important. So we actually offer, if you buy Flowcare Complete with your system, we'll actually give you an extended system warranty for 3 years, 6,000 hours. And that's really big, because that's actually the longest extended warranty of any water jet in the industry. So that's how much we believe in our system. We want to make sure that you have what you need, and we know that from our systems, the way we engineer and design our systems and parts, that we can offer that to our customers. Just like I mentioned, our design parts, so OEM parts are super important, specifically with the water jet, because yes, there are different ways to do things, but when you start adding different components onto a system that come from other providers or other designers, those systems may not be designed the way they need to be, or they're made out of the right materials. And so Flow takes the time to ensure, not only through design, but also very rigorous testing, all of our components meet the needs of what our customers have, as well as provide quick and easy access to order those all through flowparts.com. So both parts and services can be ordered through flowparts.com. And it's just a really quick tool that's easy to get onto, add what you need, and check out and have your parts headed your way. And not only do we have very easy to access tools such as flowparts.com, but we actually want to take a few minutes to highlight how Flow takes the time to really engineer out our parts to ensure that you're getting the most. So Brian's actually going to walk us through our premium Delta mixing tubes and can explain how it is that Flow achieves such protection in the marketplace.
Yeah, thanks, Blake. So to Blake's point, we about a year or two ago, we created a new model of mixing tubes, and there's Mohammed, our inventor of the abrasive water jet. We created a new product line called the Delta and Delta NXT, or lovingly the Delta Next, and there is a good screenshot of it right there. What we've done is we've made some advancements in the mixing tube industry. This is a tungsten carbide material, which is pretty common in the industry today. A couple of the changes we've made as the OEM, way to achieve faster cutting, increased precision, and overall just better customer satisfaction with a better cut. We've changed the way that the conical inlet of the mixing tubes accepts the garnet with a much better flow. And so again, this is the mixing tube called the Delta NXT. You can buy this mixing tube or look at more details on flowparts.com. But again, this is a new product from Flow that we are really excited to have launched. And in addition to that, this is the type of mixing tube that Blake was mentioning earlier. This is your kind of your gas in the gas tank, right? Everybody that has an abrasive water jet will require a mixing tube. And so this is the mixing tube that our Flowcare customers receive at no extra cost as part of their Flowcare Preventative Maintenance program. So when we talk about consumables, this is quite literally what we're talking about.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Ryan. Thank you. And so again, this great level of detail showing how much time Flow engineers have put into designing our parts and putting out to market what our customers need. So as far as Flowcare Complete, there's one thing I just wanted to make sure to leave everyone with, and that is that Flow is here to be your partner. So our companies experience all the time employee turnover, loss of skill sets, and so we want to make sure that doesn't affect your business. And so we want through Flowcare Complete and other Flow programs to let everyone know that we're here to partner with you. We're here to ensure that your system is running smoothly and that you have the parts that you need to keep going, and that will always be your direct line to keep your business up and running.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Thanks, Blake. So we talk about performance. Now we're going to get into how do we not just achieve that performance, how do we actually sustain it? And we use the term peak performance very liberally, right? So as we know, the world of water jet, and it's not just water jet, it's planes, cars, it's submarines, it's toy cars, it's my kid's Xbox that seems to always be running out of room every single time he wants to upload a game, right? So the world of technology is constantly evolving, and what we've done is we've gone through and we've created technology upgrades that we're going to be talking about here. And technology upgrades are not just software, it's not just hardware, it's not just service, it's not just training, it's a little bit of everything, right? And so what we've done is we've created some couple summary slides here just to show you that Flow, we reinvest about 8 to 12% of our annual revenue in research and development. And here's some of the products that we're proud to offer as part of that reinvestment through our own technology. Waterjet Connect is something that Blake's going to go into much more detail here in a couple minutes, but just to understand at a high level, what is Waterjet Connect? This is another word for the industry term of, IoT. It's kind of this Internet of Things out there in the ether, but nobody really knows what it does. What we've done is we've coined the term Waterjet Connect lovingly, and because what it does is it connects you, not just to us, but it connects you closer to your own system where you can actually observe the health and performance from any time, anywhere, from any device, anywhere in the country, right, or globally, depending on where you're at. And this helps you to identify trends and gain profitable insight into your system and how it actually how it acts under certain conditions, and you can get what you can do to get ahead of anything that might be detrimental to your system. Next, we have annual software subscriptions and updates. So the most powerful piece of waterjet software in the world is called Flow Expert. It is the most powerful 3D waterjet software available today. This was created back about 2009 when three-dimensional waterjets were advanced from the 2D environment. The good thing about our subscriptions is that they're affordable and they provide you with a great coverage as far as keeping your software up to date, making sure all the bugs are out of it, and so keeping with those updates is very, very beneficial. While also observing the fact that we still have yet to find any customers, engineers, employees around that have been able to path a sequence of traverses or cutting path algorithms more efficiently and safely than anybody else, right? So it's very, very advanced software. It's very, very powerful. So Flow OEM training courses, obviously, COVID is a known thing today. We are observing social distancing regardless of where we're at, so we're very, very mindful and very respectful of that requirement. It's very unfortunate what's happened, but we're reacting the best we can. What we've done is we've leaned on our trainers, and we've created not just on-site training here in Kent, Washington, which is where I'm speaking to you from today. We also have customizable classes you can have at your facility or one one very, very popular service that we've been offering lately is e-learning, or online option, if you will. The great thing about the e-learning option is it's made out of a bunch of modules. One's 2 hours, one's 4 hours. Really depends on the scope of what you're trying to do. But the great thing is that you can choose any modules you'd like and stack them together. Excuse me, to create your own specific training environment for your business, right? So if to Blake's point earlier, if you're seeing churn, it's always a big problem. There's a big gap in skill sets out there in the industry today. We're helping to close that gap by providing all these different training options for your business that are highly customizable. And last but not least, on this slide is the FlowGo portal. This really speaks to the statement on the left-hand side. We're talking about simplify all things Waterjet. Many people look at a Waterjet and like, oh, wow, it's a lot of moving parts, and wow, there's a lot of different aspects of it. There's service, there's warranty, there's software, right? So what the FlowGo portal has done, we just created this year, is it really simplifies everything. It brings you into a portal where you can access your Waterjet Connect dashboard. You can access flowparts.com to buy all your Delta mixing tubes that you're going to need, right? It's also going to show you your warranty status, software status, and many, many other things to come as far as knowledge base, having the access to your manuals, your technical publications, and just knowing what's on promotion this month, right? So it's a really great holistic place to understand how everything is simplified with one singular portal. And that's the FlowGo portal. And of course, we got to talk about some tangible parts during the slideshow, right? Wouldn't be fair if we didn't. So going on what I mentioned earlier about simplifying all things Waterjet, what we do today is we offer a couple different things. We offer this thing called an ATS. It's the Abrasive Transfer System, and it comes in a 2 and 4 metric ton. It quickly and safely removes all the spent or consumed abrasive from your catcher tank, because after you cut for a while, that stuff just starts to pile up. And those of you out there that have used a Waterjet or ever seen one, it's the environment can be very challenging how you actually remove that spent garnet. And so instead of hiring a dump truck or a porta-john company to come out there for thousands of dollars every single time, what we've done is we've developed a diaphragm-based pump that can take about 1 metric ton of garnet, about 30 to 45 minutes to remove. So within a couple hours, your entire catcher tank can be cleanly and effectively removed from all its garnet without having to get the shovels out. Okay. The super stack sand garnet hopper is something that allows you to continue cutting for a very, very long period of time. Underneath that stand would be a typical 500-pound hopper, or 700-pound hopper, or 900-pound hopper, whatever you got. And the good thing about both of these products is that they can be used on any Waterjet system, not just a Flow Waterjet. So just keep that in mind as you're taking a look at the portfolio of offerings from Flow. One thing that many people are very specific about is the type of oil, right? So a lot of companies will spec out their oil. They'll tell you where to go get it, or this is the AW46, so you got to get it, out there in the ether of North America. We have part numbers for our oil. They come in 5, 55, and 275-gallon containers, and they are available directly from Flow as a Flow product, customized and specifically designed for Waterjet pumps and applications. So it's always good to have oil on hand. Like Blake mentioned earlier about Flowcare, is we do like to come on site. We do like to make sure that oil is clean and clear, and make sure the filter is changed. So always good to have some MegaFlow oil on hand from the OEM. And it helps to take the guesswork really out of where do I get my oil next time. And so Blake has some slides he's going to go over for Waterjet Connect. I know I mentioned earlier. Blake's much more knowledgeable about this, so I'll let him take the floor.
Ryan, thanks for all the great insight into the different technology and training and product offerings that we have. But this is one that I am super excited about. And so Ryan kind of spoke at the beginning of the presentation about a paradigm shift. And I think this is the latest one that Flow is going through, and that's Waterjet Connect. And so I really am going to dive more into it, but just know that this is a system that's really going to help us to know what's going on with your system, for you to know what's going on with your system, and how we can work together to ensure that your system is operating smoothly. So everyone is pretty aware that you have to take the guesswork out of whatever you're doing. So if you don't know how your machine's running, if you don't know how your car's running, if you don't know how what condition your house is, things are going to break, things are going to happen. And so what Waterjet Connect does is provides predictable performance and maintenance, automated alerts, and profitable results. So how does it do that? So everything that we around us is becoming smart, from smart TVs, smart homes, smart cars, smart machines is also there. And so several companies are looking at how can we offer our customers a manufacturing machine that is smart. And so basically IoT is how all that's done. So Internet of Things, Ryan kind of mentioned it earlier. All this is basically the way that Flow has hooked up our systems to allow it to communicate to a cloud, to collect data, to provide insight to the health of your machine, and provide a lot of trend data and the overall health of your system. And so now we're going to take a look of what that actually looks like from a tangible standpoint. And so what you see here on the right is a true rendering of Waterjet Connect dashboard. And this is all accessed right through the FlowGo portal that Ryan already mentioned. So once you access that portal, you actually can just click right on this dashboard, and it provides a lot of key details that you need to know about your system. One of the big ones is your pump runtime, and so you can kind of see in that top left-hand bar chart. So that's actually spread out over a several month period, but this is all these graphs are scalable. And so if you wanted to see a very detailed, say a week's worth of production, you can scale that graph in and see each day how much your machine was actually running. And so a lot of our current customers have found this to be truly, truly beneficial. So they're able to see, how much of each day their machine actually ran versus how many hours were logged for that machine. So they can see, maybe material load time is an issue in the, they had an operator who was waiting an hour to get the right material over and get it up on the machine. And so they're able to change their workflow to bring that material on off hours when the machine's not scheduled to run, and have it all staged and really get a lot more productivity out of their machine. So that's all achieved via Waterjet Connect. And so, real quick, I do want to make sure that everyone knows that Waterjet Connect is offered as free of charge with your Flowcare Complete or Flow Preventive Maintenance programs. And not only that, but we as a business truly know how important preventive maintenance is and how fundamental it is for your success as well as our success. And we believe in it so much. There's a special offer today. We're actually going to include a bonus 500 hours to our 2-year and 3-year programs, good from now till March 31st. And that's good for either a standalone system. So if you're a current Flow customer, you can actually buy Flowcare Complete for your system, like Ryan already mentioned. It doesn't have to be a new system, and we'll honor the 500-hour bonus. Bonus 500 hours, or if you're already looking at a Flow machine and are talking to one of our highly qualified sales managers, we will honor that as well. So we're just super excited that we get to be a part of your business and that we get to partner with you, and just knowing how important it is that we wanted to extend that for you. And starting to wrap everything up, going to turn it over to Steve here in just a little bit for our questions and answers, as well as some additional offerings. But again, just wanted to thank everyone for your time, thank everyone for your business, for all of our Flow customers, and just to let us know if you have any questions. Ryan and I, or all of our support staff, are here to make sure that we take care of you the best that we can. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Blake.
Guys, great job. Thank you very much. And that was truly an impressive volume and quality of content. And I would remind everybody in the audience that, of course, you will be getting a follow-up email from us with a link to a recording of this presentation, and you can come back to our website at any time to view it again and share it at no cost if you would like to as well. So what we're going to do now is get into our Q&A, and we've got a great set of questions here that we want to go through, and we've found often that this section proves to be extremely valuable because we're hearing directly from folks who have very practical questions that are very relevant to the presentation, and that this is a very great forum for just digging in a little bit deeper. So Ryan, I have a few for you that I've kind of bunched together, and we'll start with you. Here you go. These are all about the actual runtime and the hours on our systems as it relates to maintenance. So first question is, my shop uses CNC machines that run about 8 hours a day. What happens if my business slows up or slows down, speeds up? Regarding Flowcare, how does it impact my support? And also, sort of related to that, what if I don't use all my hours in 2 years? And there's another one about I would never use more than 100. Is there an opportunity for a lower utilization shop? So if you could talk a little bit about that, and I'll be happy to repeat.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. We hear this fairly commonly. So the way that we track and manage the change or shifts in utilization. So to your point, right, if a shop goes from 8 hours a day to 16 hours a day, what's the impact of Flowcare? The answer is we have to track those hours. We call them intervals. So if you're assigned a 500-hour interval, for example, and you're 8 hours a day for the first 2 months, that's going to put you out multiple months until you achieve that 500 hours because your service isn't needed until that 500-hour mark, right? Now, in the scenario to that point where you basically double the hour consumption, the good thing about Waterjet Connect, or otherwise known as IoT, is that it automatically tracks that utilization profile and it adjusts your intervals, and we do observe a change in your schedule. So we do that two ways, with either IoT or Waterjet Connect, or by using the Flow Service app. It's two different ways to achieve the same thing, but that's how we track and adjust your hours. Now, the question as far as what happens to the hours that I don't use, right? So Blake mentioned we have 1, 2, 3-year programs and 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 hour programs. So if you're at 2 years, but you've only consumed 1,500 hours, what happens to the other 500 hours? Got a couple choices here. We do honor those hours. They are not use or lose hours. We will roll those over into your next renewal program, or as a secondary option, and it's very, very popular lately, is that our customers have been very interested, especially the lower utilization customers, in a $1 per hour program. They don't want to bite off a big chunk because they're simply never going to get to that point. So we do offer a lower utilization option for those other customers. And it's the exact other way if you do consume your hours quicker. So if you consume all 2,000 hours in the first 2 years, good for you. You're a high utilization customer, and we would very likely offer you the same program, but we do have multiple options for those different applications.
Great answers, Ryan. Thank you. So a few more about also about Flowcare Complete. These are for Blake. Okay. Question is, how do I get a quote for Flowcare Complete, and also, do I have to purchase it? And if I don't, what other options do I have regarding care and maintenance?
Okay. Well, thank you, Steve. So the easiest way to get a hold of us for a quote for Flowcare Complete is just using the information at the bottom of the slide that's shown right now, either through the phone number or the email. And then one of our dedicated account managers will actually reach out to you to understand what your system is, understand what kind of programs you're looking for, and provide the quotes necessary for those programs. As far as the question on do you have to have Flowcare Complete or a Flow Preventive Maintenance program, no. You can absolutely buy a Flow system and choose to run that through your own maintenance program if you want. You can choose not to do maintenance. We highly don't suggest that. We think that's a recipe for disaster and have proof of that. But if you do choose to go down that route, as we mentioned before, all of our components and parts are available through flowparts.com, and those services are available through that as well. So one of the other things that we do offer is actual factory rebuilds of your own equipment. So if you have a Ultrajet or Hyperjet or some of the other intensifier pumps, you can actually send that intensifier back to Flow. It will be remanufactured at the same facility where all of our systems are manufactured at originally, and back to factory specs and sent back to you. There's also the option to do some of that service on at your own facility, either by a Flow technician through some of our service, our in-house services, or through the training that Ryan mentioned earlier.
Great, thanks, Blake. That was really helpful. So Ryan, a couple things about training and the technicians. We know that these systems are not simple. The question is twofold. So how much training do we give our service reps, with the thought being, how does a customer make sure that the person who shows up at the door is going to be able to fix what the problem is? Apparently that's an issue in the industry. And then second, what happens if a customer has an operator in their own shop, that operator leaves and they have to train somebody new. How is that covered under Flowcare, or do we charge to train somebody new, and questions related to that?
Yeah, so it's really good questions, actually. So the first part of the question is, how long do we train our own engineers, our own field service engineers? The answer is 6 to 12 months. We do evaluate their training. They are tested rigorously. They go through multiple months of testing and training on site, shadowing a senior field service engineer or a lead. And once they are eligible for machine installs, they then begin to work their way into the maintenance aspect of it. And one of the ways that we track and get rid of the issue of, well, somebody showed up but they don't know what to do or what they're doing, is we have a skill set tracker and we have scopes of work. And we take the scopes of work and the skill set tracker and we say, yep, this technician can or cannot do that skill. And we also use it as an opportunity that we're constantly changing too. The second part of the question is what happens with employee churn, or if somebody goes away and I got this new guy or gal who doesn't know what they're doing. The good thing about Flowcare is that you get tech on site, right, during your maintenance. So what we like to do a lot of times is offer customers kind of a bundled deal where we will come on site as a Flowcare visit. So you do not have to pay the travel. You do not have to pay the per diem. You do not have to pay the labor. All you have to do is receive a 10% discount on that billable training. So it is billable, but you do get a discount, a significant discount by being a Flowcare customer, and you do not have to pay for any of the travel or labor once they're on site, just for the training. So it's very beneficial.
Great, thank you. Okay, so just want to keep an eye on the clock. We just have a few minutes left, a couple more questions, and then I want to just run through some of the special offers that we have available for folks looking for a new Waterjet. Questions for you here, Blake, and one is regarding tied back to what Ryan was talking about regarding training and service on site. How long? First of all, how do I know when it's time for my machine to get serviced? Well, how do I know when to schedule it? That's part one. And part number two is, when it is time for maintenance, how do I know how long my system will be down for?
Okay, so Ryan kind of touched on this earlier, and I'll go into a bit more detail. Service intervals, and so once you're on a Flowcare preventive maintenance program, you're assigned an interval, and that interval is based on your water quality and temperature. So kind of like Ryan mentioned during the videos of the two different pump types, if your water is good, clean, cold water, it helps extend that service interval. If it's not so good and clean, then of course we want to maintain a preventative maintenance program, and so we will actually dial that interval down to make sure that we are on site to service your pump before it needs it, not after it's already broken. And so it just depends on that aspect, and that is all included when you sign up for Flowcare. We actually will send a water test kit, and that you will take a sample and send out to a lab, and an analysis will be done with recommendations on how to improve your water, and then also we provide instructions on how to take that temperature reading. The second one, as far as the how long to plan for, and so our account manager will actually take care of all the scheduling for you. You won't have to worry about it as long as you're providing your hours either through Waterjet Connect or through the Flow Service app. They'll actually see when you're approaching your service interval, and they'll take care of arranging all the parts to be shipped directly to you. They'll arrange for the technician to be scheduled, and they'll notify you to see what works best for your particular shop, particular day of the week, or if you're really busy this week and you need to wait, maybe till Wednesday next week to have your service, they'll work with you on scheduling that. And then during that day of, we typically will ask you to block out 4 hours. And again, that's definitely dependent on your system type. If you have a system with multiple intensifiers, or you maybe are during your service visit, if you have a particular service visit where you're doing multiple things like the bleed down, the on-off valve, an oil change, then of course it's going to elongate that amount of time that technician's going to need. But on average, we ask for 4 hours.
And I think one extra thing and Blake did a great job explaining that. One thing that we've talked about earlier in this presentation is that cold, clean water, very important. And Flow actually offers solutions to satisfy those requirements in the form of industrial water softeners, chillers, and closed-loop reverse osmosis systems. So Flow is still the one-stop shop for all things water jet, starting with the treatment of your water should it need treatment.
Yeah, and of course, all that is also available through flowparts.com.
Great. Excuse me. Great. Thank you, guys. Okay, last one real quick, and then I'm going to hop over to our offers because we're running out of time. The question is, how do I get parts that aren't part of Flowcare? And can you also give us a rough cost of how much the Delta mixing tubes cost?
Yeah, so there's a couple different channels you can order parts from. Majority of our customers just are simple, and they just like to use either the Flow service app, which drives you to flowparts.com, but the e-commerce website, flowparts.com, is the primary source of part ordering. Some people don't like the online thing for whatever reason, right? And I appreciate that. Your Flowcare program manager, your dedicated account manager, can also advise you as to additional spare parts that are needed, and the technician on site will let you know if there's additional parts that are needed as well. Typical Delta mixing tube today, depending if you're talking a premium or a standard, is going to range anywhere from $100 to $200, depending on the size and the inner diameter, as well as the status of premium versus standard. So very, very affordable. And again, the premiums are only included with Flowcare, but they're still purchasable as another item on flowparts.com.
Great. Thanks very much. Folks, stay with me here for a couple more minutes, and I'm going to zip through the offers that we have available for you. Ryan, Blake, fantastic job. Thank you so much. Members of the audience, if you do need to go, remember you can reach us anytime at the numbers and the email address, and of course at flowwaterjet.com, and we're happy to answer more questions and reach out to you if you need help. Just let us know. Gentlemen, again, thank you very much. I'm going to take us over to the next page and talk about the offers that we have in market at the moment, just to help during this challenging economic environment. To say the least, we all want to be able to keep our businesses running, and if there's a way to soften the blow of either financing a new system or the capital expenditure of purchasing one, we know it's very difficult, and we want to let you know that we want to do everything in our power to be good partners to you and help you find ways to keep your business running well and at the most efficient way possible. So first on our list of offers is one that's a little lesser known, but really important. It's actually part of the current tax law for business owners. There's a provision called Section 179, and this allows you to take a larger deduction for capital expenditures. We're not in the taxation business, obviously. This is part of the law, but we wanted to help let you know that it's available to you. And essentially, if you're purchasing a big system, or if you're purchasing a system that qualifies as a capital expenditure, you can reduce your tax burden for the tax year in which you purchase it, which means you basically get a higher deduction and you're kind of paying yourself instead of paying the government. It's a perfectly legal and existing tax provision, and we would really encourage you to take advantage of it if you qualify for it under Section 179. So one of our team members can help you understand more about whether you might apply for that. The second is that, as many of you know, we've gone for a solid 9 months now with no trade shows, and as a result, we have systems that were set aside for those that are essentially on sale. So they aren't used, they're new, and they are available. Some of them are already configured, so it would be important for you to understand what we have and to see if that suits your needs and see if we can work with you to get a price that's reasonable for you and a discount from our ordinary pricing under more traditional circumstances. So there's that. We're also offering a financing incentive with our banking partner on the purchase of a new system that is financed to qualified buyers, which is essentially a 90-day grace period. So if you were to begin the process with us and and get approval from the bank to finance your purchase, we have arranged to give you a grace period of 90 days to defer your payments so that you just get a little bit of relief on cash flow for the first 90 days. And in this environment, it's a great way to soften the financial burden a little bit. Also, if you're in the market to buy a new system complete with a pump, we've had a lot of success helping our customers get into a complete system with an upgraded pump. And essentially what that means is we will give you a quote on the basis of what it is you need for your business, and we will find a way to help you upgrade to the next most high-performing, powerful pump at the price of what we originally quoted you. So I would suggest that if this is something that you're considering, it's a terrific way to save a lot of money, get better performance out of your system, and we again would ask that you reach out to us, and one of our team members will work with you on putting together a quote that allows you to take advantage of this. And finally, our most popular offer that we rolled out over the summer is our Waterjet trade-in system. And what we're offering you is the opportunity that if you have an existing Waterjet that is operational, it does not matter if it's made by somebody else. In fact, it doesn't even have to be a Waterjet, but any kind of cutting system is a potential candidate. And we would get on the phone with you and come and inspect your system, understand what it is and what the value of it is, and then we can apply that value to your purchase of a new system from Flow. So again, it doesn't matter who it's made by, as long as it's working, and we can use this as a way to help you get a lower price on a brand new system for Flow. So we are feeling like we've got a lot of opportunities here. It's real close to the end of the year. They're not going to expire in the next couple weeks, but they will not last forever. We would welcome you to take advantage. So reach out to us through any of the contact information below, and we will be very happy to hear from you. We're a minute over, so I'm going to get out of here and let you all get on with your day. Please enjoy the holiday season and be safe, be careful, and thank you very much for attending. We look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you very much.